You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
And, you know, we have some good conversations when I get with my bros from the NY, including Queens Get the Money,
AA Ron.
AA Ron.
Check out the AA Ron.
Speaking of which, one of my favorite MCs, here's how I'm going to transition into this topic, AA Ron. And I want you to take it from there. Razor may want to take it, but y'all may want to be careful with this one.
Can't be careful. Can't be careful.
Should I just shut it down?
Nah, I gotta let it.
Okay, all right,
gotta let it eat.
All right, my man.
Gotta let it eat.
He said, "Let it breathe."
Gotta let it eat.
So, one of my favorite lyricists, Pusha T, said it best. AA Ron and Razor. He said, "I'm my city's Willie Falcone. How you dudes celebrating Alpo?" Pusha said, "How y'all celebrating Alpo nowadays? The game done changed." So for those who don't know, hey, I give them a little background on who Alpo is and what transpired this past week.
In a little nutshell, the street classic that everybody has come to love, movie called Paid in Full, produced by Dame Dash and Miramax Films, was about the story of some early 80s, 90s drug dealers, AZ,
Rich Porter,
Rich Porter, and Alberto Martinez, aka Alpo. So Paid in Full is basically is their whole story.
Yeah,
little bit not the real truth, but it's based upon their story. And the guy that really became the star of that movie was Cameron. He depicted a guy named Alpo.
Yep.
And for those who don't know, Alberto Martinez was locked up. I believe he served 25 years. I think he had like 10 consecutive life sentences.
They had a lot.
But they were cut down due to him doing and I'm saying this right now, doing to what 99% of the dudes that go into the feds do.
Yep.
They snitch.
Yep.
Like, let's be real.
Yep.
So he talked and he gave up names and he was free. And I think he got out in 2015. And he was just moving around Harlem like it wasn't nothing. Now, he also was in witness protection. He was in witness protection, but I believe that he left. And last week, he was gunned down in the street, in the middle of Harlem.
In front of the police station.
A few blocks from the police. Not exactly in front, but maybe a block or two away from the police station. But
that's in front of the police station.
You know what I'm saying? With cameras around, because they say in Harlem, every 17 feet, there's a camera.
Yeah, New York is like
every
in general
17
now, right?
feet.
Yeah.
So he was gunned down, and the way that it's being depicted, you know, and this is what we're gonna get into, is he was walking the streets freely and things of that nature, and it's just, the streets are undefeated, Razor.
Yeah. Yep.
Either way you get it, and the reason why I say that is because
Why do you say that?
Because whatever outcome comes, it's not a good outcome.
Yeah.
So, for example, the guy. So you think about it. Alpo killed Rich Porter, and they were supposed to be friends.
Yep.
AZ was kidnapped. The people watch Paid in Full. This is true. He was kidnapped. 5 members of his family died, and he had permanent memory loss due to that incident.
Yep.
And now Alpo just got killed. Ain't no heroes in none of them stories.
What I will say is the conversation popped up between me and a person who really reps Harlem, right?
Right.
And he was still, even with the snitching that he did, even with the things that he did down in the D.C., Northern Virginia area, that impacted all the way down past me.
Yeah, because in D.C. he did a lot of dirt too. A lot. Some people say actually more in D.C.
He did.
than in New York.
A
lot of killings, Big Head Gary, all these people.
I don't know what he did in New York. I do know some of the things that he did down in this area, right, on a personal level. Now, I will say this. Even with him being a snitch, even with him doing all that crud, he was still an urban legend. And I hope people understand what I'm saying. As horrific as the drug game was to the black community, it was still as impactful in my opinion as the Harlem Renaissance, because it dictated a lot of how black people move, how black people obtain riches, how black people were enslaved themselves back. You know what I'm saying? Like the drug game, the crack epidemic was very impactful in the black community.
I mean, you could even, I
many ways.
Yeah, I could even take it a step further, and this is a fact. AZ, Rich Porter, and Alpo basically in a wide range had one of the biggest fashion cultural impacts that this nation has seen, because all of those Dapper Dan designs and stuff like that, people have to remember, before LL, before Boogie Down, before Big Daddy Kane, the hustlers was going to Dapper Dan to get their custom outfits. You can Google Alpo right now in the 80s and see those outfits. That's stuff that Dapper Dan just dropped last year.
Yeah.
He has on a long custom Louis Vuitton trench coat that was just remade 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a bootleg outfit.
Yep.
In 89. I mean, think about that. And Louis Vuitton just said, man, it's like, but he set the tone. Remember, the rappers wanted to look like them.
The drug dealers.
People wanted to look like them. I remember dudes, man, when we used to live in Mount Vernon, I remember the hustlers, the car, you might remember this, Razor, the car wasn't an Audi, it wasn't a Benz, it was a Suzuki Sidekick.
The Suzuki Sidekick
with the soft
little
top.
track,
With the soft top.
Then it went over to the Saabs, and then the Acura Legends, and all those types of
things. So the dudes used to come through with the Sergio Tacchini on, and the shorts, and everything, and the chains. But I remember talking to some of those guys, and they said, man, we got the style from dudes from Harlem.
The MCM and all that type of stuff.
From Harlem. So, but that's just style-wise. But back to the street part, and Max, I want to ask Max about, I said nobody wins because nobody wins.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, even economically, these guys are legends for having a 3-year run.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
When do you become a legend in something?
When you
having a 3-year run,
by how many years they did in the penitentiary, by how much money that they have, what they spent, it never adds up. You know what I'm saying? It never adds up.
It never adds up.
So let me be devil's advocate. And I think everybody that's heard my voice over these airwaves will understand where I'm coming from and know that I'm in no way glorifying anything that's wrong. There's two sides to the game, right? Isn't that what people say? There's two sides to every story. It's like just like you have people.
100%.
So just like you have people like glorifying and glamorizing street life, you have these stories as well of incarceration, of death, right?
Right.
Right. So then, what do those who listen to these airways every day and hear the what we can call quote unquote success story?
Get out. Talking about your hoes.
I'm talking about when folks look at a Jay-Z, when folks look at a 50 Cent.
When folks look at the majority of hip-hop, I mean, Charles, literally, that's what it is. But remember, guys started rapping to not hustle.
Yeah.
That was the point of them rapping.
Wu-Tang said that all the time.
Dude, this is, we got to get, the deal is, we got to take this money from here and do this. Because this is only one way in, one way out.
Yeah, but you also got to understand, like, if I got to get shot 9 times in the face, you can keep that money. You know what I'm saying? So 50 Cent isn't a success story to me with the drug game because I'm not willing to give what he gave to get to where he is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, I feel you.
But I'm just saying, like, going back to Charles's question, like, you talk about it honestly. There's some good and there's some bad, or I don't know, maybe perceived good, but there's some good and there's some bad. Like you said, incarceration, lives ruined, death, and then some. None of which are good, none of which should be glorified. And people who inflicted or participated in those type of things should reap whatever consequences come from them.
Yeah,
right?
I think the other part.
That's very true. But the other side of that is that I think society as a whole and then Black people also, especially given our history in this country, we like to see when we win. Even when it's wrong. We kind of geared that way as human beings, even when it's wrong.
Yeah,
you dictate your own terms. You have your own money. You don't answer to nobody. You take what you want. Like, and none of those things may not, they may not sound good, but I think we as human beings is kind of geared towards that.
I ain't gonna lie.
You set the precedent for certain things.
Absolutely.
Max got a point. I ain't gonna lie. I love hustling. I ain't even gonna fake. I don't like Like, it doesn't matter if I'm out here selling hot dogs, cleaning toilets. Like, I love hustling. I love the grind.
And there's a lot of people that love it, Razor, or love to hear about it, even though they may not want to talk about it. I've watched The Harder They Fall twice now.
Yeah.
Full of brutality and killing. I enjoyed watching it. I like them.
We just talked about that, man. No, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
I'm trying to give you an honest opinion. When you talk about the question you just asked.
Yeah, I think the other part, Max, is that we have to remember, and Razor, I want to have this conversation with Razor too, is that the crack epidemic was almost like it was the black version of the gold rush.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Because people don't realize, when you hear those numbers, when you really start to, and I don't think people think something, they really are thinking about it. When Alpo was talking about, we had a spot, and it was, I'm not going to put the name, but it was a spot, and he said the cheese line was 3 or 4 blocks long.
Yeah.
And we were doing $40,000 a day.
Yeah.
Some people make $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were doing $40,000 a day.
Insane.
And so when you really think about those numbers, that's how many people are coming in from all communities to come buy this drug. Now, what happened with the drug, with the issue that happened, and this is talked about a lot, is that in the hustlers, that the ones that are still alive to say it, AZ talked about this. So everything was good when everybody was eating.
As long as everybody eating.
The problem is now everybody figured out, like the gold rush, everybody can sell this product.
Yep.
So before it used to just be Charles's crew, my crew, and your crew. We occupied these 10 corners. Now it's one crew, 2 crews, 3 crews, 4 crews. At some point, there's just going to be violence because everybody's not going to get along in that.
That's what changes
too
everything.
Many people.
That's what, like, honestly, that's what changes everything. Once violence comes into play, you know what I'm saying, that's the problem. It's not even as much as the product destroying the neighborhoods or the communities as much as when it comes to loss of life.
Oh, the violence killed everything.
You know what I'm saying? And anything that you do, once people start getting violent, people start getting bullied, that's what changes the dynamic. Now, going back to something that you just now said, yes, they set up shop and was doing $40,000 a day in XYZ. But when it comes to what keeps a person moving like Alpo or Silk, which was Wayne Perry or Rafus, or you know what I'm saying? All these different type people.
Meech.
There's a point where you're looking at, let me see, how can I say this? You're looking at TV versions of stuff that you have personal knowledge of, right? And they don't always show the humanistic parts of these so-called animals, right? And the addiction part of the success of the drugs, of the hustling, of the women.
We got a law?
I'm ahead
the law of the game.
So, because I'm trying to answer, like, I'm not trying to go too far, but I'm trying to get everybody to understand that there will be another crack epidemic. It'll be something else. It's going to come as something different. And when you see these type of things, the best thing that you can do to keep from having an Alpo, a Rich Porter, a Wayne Perry story is to get these children to understand that they can have what they want. It might take a little bit more to do. It might need to come from somebody outside of their house that they listen to, because that's why so many people are attracted to the drug dealers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
100%.
When we used to come to New York, we walked like the New York people so that we didn't get picked up by the 17-foot cameras.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because you look like an outsider when you walk in certain places. So you dress like these people, and then you started dressing like them in your own hometown because that's who you saw in the Right On magazines and these other things that people where you were from didn't have access to these things. They couldn't go to the Chess Kings and the different places and pick up these particular items to look like the people they were trying to emulate that they had never met.
The other thing is that people don't, when you're growing up in urban environments, because I used to look up to the stuff people don't realize, it's tangible. When I go onto the Coliseum, that's a spot to where people go buy sneakers and stuff like that. And it's like, man, they got all the sneakers there.
Wrapped up in plastic.
But you see the dudes that walk in there, they take out the knot, and they buy, like Jay-Z
size
did
8 and all these
sizes. It's tangible because you're like, man, he can buy 15 pairs, and I can only buy one.
And I might have to steal it from somebody else that then got
the car
theirs.
he's driving, people don't understand. Like the car he's driving. Some of these guys, man, they used to come to my dad's church and donate money. You saw them. They're in the, like you saw them. They're in the community.
Especially like Thanksgiving time.
Everything is so tangible.
Turkeys and all that type of stuff. Like them old gangsters, man, they actually pulled up tractor trailer full of turkeys that has.
Let me ask Charles and Matt, let me ask y'all a question. Because I'm not going to ask. So
please don't ask me.
No. Let's talk about, so the reason, and I've always wondered this, so the reason why the reason why that people talk about him is in such a negative light, it's not because of all the murders. It's not because of all the murders. It's really not because of what he did to Rich, because people say that's messed up. It's because he started snitching. What is our obsession with stop snitching? What is our obsession?
Bro, you don't know how deep that is. But
what is our obsession with stop snitching? Like some of these, let's be real. Some of these dudes do need to get snitched on.
Time out. Wait a minute. You don't understand. Snitching, I don't know if any of y'all understand. Snitching goes back to the slaves that were freed, that were running away.
Right.
And then somebody snitched on them. That got them caught, beat, pulled by dog. That's where snitching come from. We just call it a different name now, right? But for those that don't understand snitching, that's what it is.
Another element of that, Razor, another element of that is oftentimes, and down through history, all we had was our word. When you didn't have $1
or our secrecy,
a thread to wear, a house to live in, all you had was your word. So to not have integrity of the word was the worst.
Yeah. And like
Good
I would
point.
take that even deeper because, like we all here raised black men. And I would gamble and say that we all have ran into that conversation with our young black men to where they had to make a decision where they got themselves in trouble because they didn't want to be a snitch. And then you got to break down to your young black men exactly what you just said, Razor, what snitching actually really means.
What snitching is.
And so for me personally to have to communicate to my son to say, yo, get that out your head because that's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like
the music messed up.
Yeah, it's like we ain't talking about you in the street life right now. You know what I mean? Like
you ain't got a brick in your backpack.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and to keep it 100. And then I have to tell them, that form of snitch that you're thinking about is when you're doing the same dirt as somebody else.
That's right.
But they're winning.
That's right.
And you're trying to save your own butt. Or stop them from winning. I'm like, when you in school and somebody picking on you and you don't want to tell the teacher because you don't want to be a snitch, bro. No, we ain't having that.
Yeah.
That ain't the same thing.
Yeah, they
bro.
don't understand.
That ain't the same thing, But Max, I did want to say that Aaron and Razor, both answered my question though. Initially, when I talked about there being two sides of the game, perfectly the way that y'all did, because like that's really the moral to the story. You're right when it comes to you can't stay in that life and take the stress of that life or the risk that life takes and like end up there without there being a bad ending.
That's right.
But what I feel like are the real hustlers, I'll say, are the ones who will tell you to this day that they knew how to get out. They only did it because they felt like they had no choice. Not these dudes that think that it's cool, so I'm going to do it.
I mean,
but the ones that really get out and are successful businessmen are normally the ones that be like, bro, because that ain't the life. I didn't want to do that. Like, I felt like I had to, was forced there, and as soon as I could get out, I got out.
Two things are the same before you go, Aaron, because I can feel Aaron get ready to say something.
No.
Two things in the black community holistically, not just country and city, but two things were the same. That was the hustlers for the men and the strippers for the women. You got women who strip to pay their way through medical school for you. You know what I'm saying? Who the second that they had an exit plan, they went on to something else. You know what I'm saying? But
how jacked up is our society when you either gotta sell poison,
Say so, Say so,
or take off your clothes to make $1 to survive.
It's bad. It's bad. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It goes all the way back to the Western Saloon, the women that ran the brothels. The word changes over the course of time. The actions stay the same because somebody has found a way to make it profitable. So now, while it's not crack, and people getting mass incarceration, opioids. The pharmacists became the rich porters. And but because the pharmacists a lot of times, and people like to say because I make black and white references that I'm racist, and I hear this all the time, is that because they are non-black most of the time, they don't get the same outlook as we do.
Facts.
The opioid mother driving the little van for soccer mom, she's a crackhead. You know what I'm saying?
So.
She's a crackhead, but it's looked upon differently because her hair texture is differently. So if I'm racist because I'm pointing out obvious things, let me be racist.
That's right. Then they don't like the truth.
Yeah. The only thing I was gonna say is so I know Charles is a Jay-Z fan. So Jay-Z has a song called La Familia, and he said, "Real stuff here. Alpo bought his bricks here." What Jay?
I missed that one.
Yeah, so what Jay is...
Hold on, wait.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Even the radio station had to say, let Jesus say, let there be light, Lord Jesus.
So I just, man, that was good, Charles. You did it on purpose, didn't you?
I didn't.
That was on time.
But yeah, Jay said, Jay. I mean, I can
Hold up, wait.
I can give you guys so many Jay-Z references. Jay said, "This ain't about rich and po, it's about richer po." So, but the thing is, the point I wanted to say is that, so we can get to another topic, is that, man, we all look at Jay. And Jay is like, man, came into the game 100 G's flat.
He's a unicorn.
Nine to be exact, but do you know where I'm going?
He's a unicorn.
For the one or two J's, there are millions of brothers that are dead and in jail.
Yeah.
He is not the blueprint.
Right. And the last thing I'll say on that,
for real, he is not the blueprint at all, because he would even tell you the numbers are going to say, I was incredibly talented in another way. And truth be told, the cards all stacked up to me. If you even listen to Jay, he almost got killed 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
So the game is not for you. And then for the young kids, and we'll get to the next topic, but the young kids, Alpo, 88, 89, Tekashi.
Yeah.
The game don't change, and if you think the fate is going to be any different, we need to look at this thing a little bit differently.
Now, and I want to close it too to Razor's point is like, that is because of the role models that we set, and I think that's the atmosphere that we have to start setting. Is that like that kid, like that Swift with the brick, could also be a chemist.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, but like Razor was saying, like your role models who you emulate is what's in front of you.
They'll be who they
You know
see.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
They'll be who they see.
Them sidekicks, them legends. Woo!
But getting back to it,
What you think?
I can't share no tears for the man because that code thing is real to me.
Now you kill your man. You kill your man.
Yeah, and I don't like to use the word karma, but when you do the level of dirt that he did, your life is never your own at that point. So nobody gets killed that close to the police station, and nobody knows nothing without there being several hands played in that.
We shall see.
No, we'll never see. We'll never see.
That's a fact.
Yeah, we'll never see.
Hey, but I know no matter what game you in, Aaron, it gets addictive.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.